Hello, and welcome to the epilogue of Chapter 2, New Acquaintances. As always, I'll be addressing the cultural influences first, and then move on to the references. The first piece of cultural influence that appears in this book are, of course, the works of the Spanish artist Victoria Francis, of whom I'm a big fan of. I do own all of the Fable books depicting a great number of her works, and thus I have to point out here that this influence will be of great relevance in the upcoming chapters. So let's get to the basics discussed in this chapter. The book Wakchanil looks at is the first of 3 Fable books, this one entitled Stone Tears. The picture referenced in this chapter is this one. It's referred to as Red Basque, although on our website it's simply entitled Fable. So I'm not sure which title is the accurate one. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is this Ezekiel guy. Furthermore, I do have to point out that the English translation of the Spanish original is somewhat at odds. Therefore, whenever I quote passages from either Stone Tears or any of the other books, they will, of course, contain my personal corrections. Now on to the references. The most obvious of these, of course, are the names. So let me break this down for you. Frederick is named after Frederick Catherwood, the man who, together with John Lloyd Stephens, was the first to scientifically study the Mayan culture and who did the lithographic artworks of the ruins of Palenque in Copan. Riley is, for one, named after Riley Finn, Buffy's boyfriend throughout Season 4 and the beginning of Season 5, but in its pronunciation it's also a reference to Sir Walter Riley, the guy who established the colony of Virginia. Jimena Tzek is named after Jimena Diaz, who was the wife of Rodrigo Diaz, also known as El Cid. Frederick's dead wife, Isabella, is a reference to Isabella of Castile, but it can also be seen as the Hispanic form of Elizabeth, it hence being a reference to Elizabeth I rather than the second. And lastly, we have the Stella 24, which is this one here. Now, on a side note, I wasn't sure whether to actually include this in this book, because the first reference I had on this said that it was erected in 693. However, I then did check up my other main sources, and it did say that the erection date had been in 702.